Welcome to the Midweek Tease with me, Adelle Onyango, where I share some random and not too random thoughts on things. And in this episode, I want to share 5 things that a recent encounter with an incredible African woman left me with. So, months ago when we were shooting season 2 of For Mannerless Women, I asked on my platforms if you knew any mannerless woman that we needed to feature on the show, because this space is as much mine as it is yours. And one of the names that came up is Felgonah. I reached out to her and then my colleague took it over. I had never met her, had never interacted with anything from her until the day she came onto our set. And from the moment she walked in, incredible. She just has such a powerful energy that will inspire you to live an authentic life as an African woman. And so in this episode, I want to reflect on the words that Felgonah shared that stayed with me and how they moved me and have stayed with me since. I found myself journaling about her, revisiting her voice. It's probably one of the few times where I've rewatched an interview I have done, because most of the times I'm just like, I don't want to over criticize myself. So I'll rewatch like once just to write down what I need to improve or technically what we need to change, if it's the lights, if it's the set, etc. But I think I've watched it about 3-4 times, specifically when Felgonah is talking. So in case you don't know, she is a 4-time author. She openly shares about being 31 years old, choosing to leave her marriage, and she had 4 kids at the time, and just what that journey was like for her. So I compressed all the things that I learned from her into 5 points that I want to pay it forward by sharing them with you. The first one is something that I truly believe in. Shame is not a requirement for womanhood. Reject. What Felgonah said was, and I quote, "I gave up shame so I could trust myself." And I just thought, how many of us as African women are raised to wear shame like our second skin? We're taught to be ashamed of our pleasure, ashamed of our boundaries, ashamed of our dreams, ashamed of our wanting too muchness, in quotes. But that shame doesn't make us better women. It reduces us. It kills who we really are. And when she said she gave it up, I saw a version of myself that I'm inching closer to. I've been on this journey, and I've told you on this show and in our other shows that I'm inching closer to the woman I've always wanted to be. And being shameless is at her core. So sitting across Felgonah, I was just like, so close to that version, a version that chooses self-trust over guilt, a version that doesn't shrink before she speaks, a version that says, I am still good even when I don't follow the script. Number 2, softness can be rebellion. This one made me emotional because it's a very recent lesson I am intentionally learning, So Felgonah shared how the world tried to harden her, turn her into someone silent and hard and someone palatable, but she chose softness. And I don't mean softness as weakness. I mean softness as refusal, softness as strength. Softness as a sacred choice, because being a soft woman in a world that profits from our hardness, that is revolutionary. I'm still learning that I don't have to be girded to be safe, that I don't have to perform toughness to be worthy, and I'm still learning to acknowledge and accept that choosing softness doesn't mean I failed. It really means I have come home to myself. Number 3, self-expression doesn't require permission. One of the most powerful things about Felgonah is her presence. She is bold, she's unfiltered, and she is free. And it reminded me of something that I still struggle with, feeling like I need to earn space before I can take it, feeling like I need approval before I can be loud or visible. Huh? Those of us who are scared to put our shows out there, visible or even honest. But here's the truth. Self-expression is not something we have to ask for. It is something we're allowed to claim, even if our voice shakes, even if they misunderstand us, even if they don't clap, even if they don't like, comment, share. Because the first person we owe our truth to is ourselves. Number 4. Grief can be sacred. Felgonah spoke about grieving specifically the past versions of herself. And it wasn't dramatic, her grief. It was quiet, it was honest, it was soft, it was sacred. And it made me think about the things I've had to let go of, old versions of me, people I loved, people I thought loved me or saw me for who I am, dreams I outgrew, a future that I thought I would have, masks that I wore for safety. Grief isn't always loud, and it's not always that you're grieving the death of an actual person, Grief sometimes is a deep sigh, it's a quiet knowing, it's a sacred release. I am learning how to honor that process and not rush past it, just letting myself feel it. And lastly, number 5. Becoming mannerless is not rebellion, it's a return. This one shook me because we often think of mannerlessness as rebellion, as chaos, as fighting back. But what if it's not that at all? What if becoming mannerless is actually a return, is actually a remembering of who we were before shame, before scripts, before survival, before expectations. It's not about being wild for the sake of it. It's about being free. Free from boxes, free from applause, free from the need to be anything other than yourself. And Felgonah really reminded me of that, and I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much for listening to this. And if you have been carrying shame, if you have been performing strength while craving softness, if you've been waiting for permission to live loud, to feel deeply, to grieve fully, this episode is your reminder. You don't have to wait. You are not too much. You are not too late. And you are not alone. I'm with you on this journey. And I'm so glad that you're part of this family because we get to walk this journey together. Thanks for listening to the Midweek Tease, a Legally Clueless Africa production. Episodes go out every Wednesday, and you can learn more about us by going to legallycluelessafrica.com.